Greetings, groovy people! Welcome to this Friday night video. Still random, still not sure what I want to do with these, but hey, let's do this. If you want to watch part 1 of this Earth Mother image where I sketch and ink it, you may do so at the iCard that is located in the upper right hand corner of this video. But let's start at the beginning. In 2018, I tried to do the Inktober challenge. I got pretty far. I got into the 20-somethings and then I stopped. But when I was still fresh, in between doing the October 4th and 5th challenge, something somewhere somehow inspired me to do a quick sketch of the personification of Mother Earth. I will flash an image of the original sketch up here. One of these days I'll do a sketchbook tour, but it's not filled yet. I don't sketch very often. I don't have time to, and I don't get the urge like a lot of people do. I don't know, I'm weird like that. I used to, but not anymore. Maybe I should be doing that. I can't remember what exactly inspired it, but I have a sneaky suspicion it was probably the music band War, because I'd written right next to the image, soundtrack, Eric Burden declares war, right there on the page, so that's probably where I got the inspiration, but I don't remember half the shit that I do or where the ideas come from, so whatever. But I'd also somewhere else had I don't know if it was like drawing with waffles or Lucid Nema. I think I'm saying that right. It might be Nema. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing her name, but I like to watch her videos. One of these people, I can't remember who, had done like this galaxy hair or skirt or background challenge. Might have even have been Casey Golden, I think. Casey? Anyway, it doesn't matter. I got inspired and I decided I wanted to do something similar. So that's what kind of inspired the whole idea of having like the galaxy hair, which you'll see later in the video. Hey, look, it only took me a year and a half to actually do this image. You know, I sketched it back in 2018 and I just got to it in 2020. I work slow like that. I mostly work on my comic. But yeah, when I was sketching this character, the idea was to create someone that I felt embodied the idea of freedom and nature, and I'm gonna be babbling a lot of pomp and circumstance here, you guys, but I wanted the design to be somewhat kind of Romany inspired. Is that the I'm sorry if that's not like the correct term, but I know that gypsy's kind of not the right term either. I just wanted it to be someone who's kind of nomadic and free-spirited. But I also, so I mean, that's kind of like why her hair is free-flowing. I wanted her to definitely have the hippie aesthetic. She has like a halter top on with free-flowing sleeves. I was picturing someone who was from South America, but of African descent. And that was very specific because years ago I'd gone to, I think it was like the BACC. It was some kind of, it was like a college conference with a lot of different people giving different speeches, and I was very struck by this one woman who was from Brazil, but she was a black Brazilian, and she had done a speech about, you know, the treatment of people in Brazil who have darker skin tones. So that was something that had always kind of floated in my mind, and I thought, well, this would be a really cool opportunity to kind of take inspiration from what she was talking about and kind of create this character, you know, kind of representing that and what, you know, what her speech had been about. So, I mean, this is really piss poor explanation. I wish I could remember the woman's name, but I was there supporting my partner at the time, and we saw a lot of people, some people from Pakistan, some people from Chicago, people from all over the world, from the States, I mean, like from the South, from everywhere. So I can't remember anybody's name that actually gave a speech, but it was very interesting to me to hear what she had to say. So that was kind of the idea behind the specific character. But I wanted her to be both kind of young looking, but also be old at the same time, to be both maternal, but also young at heart. So that's why she has like the nose ring, and I only gave her one earring. Initially I'd given her two, but I was like, yeah, fuck it. She's gonna have one earring. Screw everything. But but also to have this kind of be opposite to like the stereotype of Atlas. You know, he's shouldering the earth and the world is a burden to him. But for this character, she's not even just specifically nurturing the earth, but she's holding it, and it is not a burden. It's both of her but also outside of her. So it's not like this. I mean, nothing, no offense to Atlas. I'm sorry, Atlas. It must have been hard holding the world up. But I wanted it to be a comparison to that. But yeah, definitely the slight hippie motif, you know, the lacy sleeves, this idea of kind of challenging the traditional concepts and, you know, freedom from that which is traditional, at least according to my culture, while being somewhat nomadic, but also being very capable and bearing the responsibility of, you know, caring for the earth and nature. So I don't know how many contradictions can I fit into this. How fucking how fucking obnoxious is this discussion? I just wanted to draw a pretty woman. That's all I really wanted to do, and to give her galaxy hair. But anyway. But yeah, the background, I wanted it to I definitely wanted her hair to be colorful as opposed to the rest of the galaxy. So I only used white and black as the background for the stars and the void of space, but I wanted her hair to be more like the actual galaxy colors, you know, all the different chemicals that like produce those that really cool look. I wanted her specifically to stand out against the background. So that's why the background is very, I guess that's monochromatic. I mean, because it's white and black, and neither one of them are really. So actually, grayscale, not even monochromatic. I can't fucking talk, you guys. This is what happens when I do a Friday night video. This is why I don't do these videos, because I suck. But yeah. If college taught me anything, it's how to talk up your work. But I mean, there are these ideas, you know, that I have. I mean, it's not anything special, the drawing itself, but I wanted to do it, and it makes me, you know, feel good to be able to draw a variety of different people. So that was kind of the impetus behind this image. I do like to challenge myself by stepping outside of the box and trying different techniques. I originally wasn't really sure what or how I was going to create the galaxy hair effect. I could have watched a tutorial, which is what everyone else did, but by the time I got around to actually working on this piece, I'd lost those videos and was too lazy to Google it. Yeah, that would have been not even take any time at all, but I didn't do. I'm stubborn and I'm a glutton for punishment. So I decided in my Earth Day video that I did this year that I was going to repurpose some other stuff. So I used the newspaper to kind of block out the parts I don't want ink to get on. But I also had lying around the apartment a straw that I forgot to say I didn't need, and it wasn't the staff's fault, but I was like, I need to do something with this paper straw, so what the hell am I going to do with it? I'm going to use it to blow ink around the paper like any mature adult would. Yeah, that's the best way I decided to use it, because I sure as shit didn't want to drink any liquids out of it. But yeah, I'd seen the technique originally in one of my, I don't know which one, but one of my how to draw manga books. It was kind of a technique that where they take either ink or gouache and they blow on it to create like this splatter effect. So that's where I got the idea. I was like, well, if they can do that with, you know, black ink and, you know, like white gouache, why can't I do that with my colored ink? So yeah, that's where I got the idea to blow into a straw and create that effect. Yeah. So in the video, you saw my first priority was actually to go ahead and section off the parts that I did not want to get ink on. So I used newspaper or ads. It wasn't even newspaper, just junk ads, that junk mail that we get in the mail all the time. That was a pain in the ass. It took like over an hour to do that. I cut so much of it out of the video because it's just boring, but I used that, and I also used some of my removable tape. I cut that out into pieces. It didn't work 100%. You'll see that there are, or you may have already seen by this point, that there were parts that still the ink got underneath because I didn't do it very well. But for the most part, it worked okay. I went back and I used gouache to cover up some of the places where the ink went renegade. I re-inked a lot of the lines as necessary and then moved on to coloring some of the other areas that I didn't want to use ink on. I used my Copic markers. I don't have a skin tone set, so it was suggested to me at Art Mart in St. Louis, that's where we'd gone, that I should just go ahead and make my own set by picking a bunch of different colors. So I can't remember which color it is that I use for her skin tone, but it wasn't from the actual skin tone set. It might be in it, but it's not one that came in a set. I just picked it out. The earth was also done in Copics predominantly. I did use a little bit of ink for like the shading because the gouache would not absorb, or it absorbed, I should say, some of the Copics, and so the color didn't match her skin in other places. So what I ended up doing to kind of circumvent that problem was to use my inks, which for the most part worked as adding value, like darker value to it. But I wouldn't suggest anyone do that because once it dried, there are a lot of cracks. It's nothing that I personally care about because art is imperfect. I'm never going to be perfect, and to me, it was an experiment that was predominantly successful. So I don't care that there are a few cracks, and I may try to sell it at conventions later on when those are open again. But I wouldn't suggest, if you don't want cracks on your art, I would say don't combine gouache, Copics, and ink. It doesn't work very well. Once I'd gotten the colors down, I decided to move on to some more line touch-ups. I painted the background with just straight up Sumi ink. The Sumi ink is vegan. I'm not 100% sure if they did animal testing with it. I doubt it. I don't think that in Japan they absolutely have to. I know in China legally they have to test things on animals, but I don't think that's the case in Japan. Don't quote me on that. Somebody tell me I'm wrong if I am wrong, because I would love to know. But I know for sure that this specific brand of ink that I use at least does not have animal products. It's the liquid version, and I've gone to some websites where people had actually written the company and said flat out there's no animal products in it. So I just used a brush, a paintbrush, to paint the background all black with the Sumi ink. And then I went in with the gouache and I started doing the star background. And I also thought, why don't I give her an extra pop by doing a white outline around her to kind of help her pop out from the image a little bit. So I did that. That's a technique that is used in manga, particularly in shoujo, quite a bit. But I think that it might have been used in Full Metal Alchemist too. I know that Arakawa used a lot of different techniques, and I think she might have done that occasionally too for like dramatic effect. But yeah, after I painted the background, you can imagine with that much ink, it took a while to dry, and Sumi ink can kind of be a little sticky. It doesn't dry quite the same as India ink, so due to my own time constraints and also because I wanted to make sure it was dried, I wasn't able to get back to it until about a week later, and that's when I put down the gouache. But I'm backtracking. That's yeah. Oh, I did use gold and silver Sharpie for like her sleeves, her nose earring, and her one earring, which is in the right ear. Wink, wink. But maybe I should have made the scarf and her hair match the sleeves. I was initially going to do that, but honest to God, you guys, I just forgot. So maybe I should go back and do that, and that will make the image be a little more balanced. I don't know. What do you think? Tell me in the comments what I should do. Yeah, but anyway, overall, I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. I mean, yes, there are definitely things that I could do to improve the image. It was an experiment, though. Some things worked, some things didn't. I definitely would like to try some different images with that straw and ink. I really like how her hair turned out. I overdosed too much on that one side, but that ended up being okay because that's the side that I made have the shadow. So the sun's on the other side. But yeah, it's definitely far from perfect, but I'm happy with how it turned out. It could have been worse. It could have turned out worse. So I'm happy with it. And that's all I have to say about this image. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. Like, it was a lot of work, but like when I was actually working on it, I had a lot of fun because I don't really get a chance to do much, experimentation. I'm usually just working on comic book pages, so this was a lot of fun. Let me know if you like these videos. I don't really do them very often, but sometimes I get a wild hair up my ass and I want to just do some traditional pieces that aren't comic related. So if you want to see more like this, please tell me, because right now I'm just doing it whenever I feel like it, which is fine too. I mean, I don't always feel like doing 2 videos in a week. It's kind of a lot of work, but I'd be up for the work if people want to see more of that. If you feel like supporting the channel, if you like my art, like what I do, you can donate at any of the links in the description. You can like, sub, and hit that notification bell if you want to see more like this. Yeah, otherwise I need to shut up now. Yeah, be kind to each other, peace and love, fare you well, and keep on trucking.